Hi, my name is Leah Adams. I'm a sophomore in biology and I tested the effects of different types of food on heart rate after running. My purpose of my experiment was because I wanted to know if what you eat before you run really affects your heart rate. My hypothesis is if that the subject eats fruit, then the heartbeat will decrease. For my procedure, I had my test subjects, which was 5 girls, sit down and eat the food that I gave to them within 10 minutes. I made sure the food they were eating was solid and it was the same amount. And the only drink they were allowed to have was water, and they must have 1 cup of water after each food type. 15 minutes after everyone was done eating, I had one subject run for 5 minutes on the treadmill, and I timed them using my little watch. And once the subject had completed their run, I would take their pulse for 10 seconds, and I do this with each girl, and I tested them each 3 times for 3 trials, which was a total of, I think, 15 trials per food type. And I repeated steps 1 through 3 with every girl and every food group, and this experiment was supposed to take 3 days, but it took longer because not everybody was able to test on every day that I was able to. So, yeah. The food types that I tested with were apples, which represented fruits, bread, which represented the grains, and potato chips, which represented fats. For my data tables and graphs, this is subject 1's average heart rate, which average for control was 25, fruit was 27.7, grain was 28.7, and fat was 26.3. Subject 2's average for control was 23.7, fruit was 24, grain was 27, and fat was 25.3. Subject 3's average heart rate was, for control, 23.7, fruit was 24.7, grain was 25, and fat was 24.7. For subject 4, their average for control was 24, fruit was 25.7, grain was 28.3, and fat was 25.7. Subject 5, average for control was 23.7, fruit was 27, grain was 27, and fat was 26.7. My results and discussion is that the overall average for no food was 23.9. The range was 1.3 and there were no outliers. When I tested fruits, the overall average was 25.79. The range was 3.6. There were no outliers. When I tested the grains group, the overall average was 27.19. The range was 3.6 and there were no outliers. When I tested the fats food group, the overall average was 25.73. The range was 2 and there were no outliers. Some errors that could have occurred is when I cut out the apples, they weren't all cut in the same amount. So some girls probably got more fruit than others. Also, I didn't count out how many chips I put in each bag, so there were probably a few more chips in other bags. Some other errors that could have occurred are that they didn't all get the same amount to drink because I didn't measure it. I just told them to go get a drink out of the drinking fountain. And one error that did occur is that I forgot to start my watch for one of the breaks, so some girls got more of a break than others. Also, in conclusion, my data did not support my hypothesis because the fats overall average was 25.7 and the fruits overall average was 25.8. This means that the fats overall average meant that the heart rate rate was less than the fruit's average. So that makes it not support my hypothesis. My data show that when the subject consumed grain, the overall average was 27.2. This means that grain caused the heart rate to be the highest and increase the most. I suspected that the control group would have the lowest overall average with 24, but I did not expect that the grains would be the highest, the fats would be the second lowest, and the fruits would be right in the middle. I expected the control to be the lowest, fruits to be the second lowest, then grains, then the fats. The usefulness of my experiment is that it allows a suggestion for what type of food to eat before you go on a run and how it will affect your heart rate. Next time, or another experiment I could do to test is to test the effects of amounts of food on heart rate and also the weather conditions on heart rate, and I could compare my results with this test or with this experiment. If I were to do this experiment again, I would improve on measuring the food better and measuring out how much water they got, because I didn't do this time and I should have done it. I should have measured more precisely so that they'd all get the equal amount. I'd also probably have them stretch before they did this, because I didn't have them stretch and they could have pulled muscle even though they weren't doing much. It's still possible. So, yeah. Any questions?